year heading the presidency of the G20. The meeting of the leaders will be in November, but there are a number of meetings that have been taking place. Ministers of finance have met, ministers of foreign affairs, and a whole lot of other engagements. So today is the T20 dialogue, where we ensuring that Africa itself have a discussion on how they want to influence the decisions of the G20. As you know, that South Africa has decided that it use its presidency of the G20 to benefit the African continent. But we need to be able to prepare for that, to look at what are the issues that we want on the of the G20, because this is an opportunity for us to shape global affairs. It's an opportunity to information and reforms that must take place in the financial sector and other multilateral institutions. The emphasis really here is that we need to defend multilateralism, particularly in the face of rising unilateralism and all aspects that we have seen recently. It's important that Africa should unite to be able to ensure that its voice is heard. So this meeting for the next 2 days will be dealing with these issues. We need to ensure that the issues of poverty are on the agenda, the issues of development, of employment, of skills for people in the continent are on the agenda of the G20. And as you can see, the Deputy Minister of DERCO is here helping to coordinate these efforts so that by the time the leaders meet, these issues will be high on the agenda of the G20.
Deputy President Khalihle Khumalo here from SABC News. You spoke about the impact of the trade wars, the tension that we see, especially for the economies in Africa and by extension across the world. What can G20 do in terms of mitigating such an impact?
Well, firstly, as I said, Africa itself should unite, and this dialogue is going to emphasize that. We as South Africa leading the G20 this year must ensure that these issues are addressed, because as I said earlier, that with these trade wars, it will definitely lead to rising prices, which will affect particularly poor people even in this continent. So it's important that we do everything in our power to mitigate against these challenges. As you know, that the president has decided that he will appoint a team that will also go to the U.S. to engage with the new administration there around these issues of tariffs and so on, so that we can ensure that we don't create a situation where the economies, particularly of the developing countries, are severely affected. We are also putting a lot of effort as South Africa to deal with challenges of wars in the continent. As you know, we are leading a lot of peace efforts in the continent, and we are urging the African continent to unite around those issues so that they can also be prominent on the agenda of the G20 to deal with challenges in the DRC, in Sahel, and other parts of the continent, but also in the world. We need peace in the world for the economy, the global economy to develop, to ensure that it can serve the people of the world positively. And that's really the effort that we're going to make as the president of the G20.
Nice to meet you, Deputy President.
Sorry, sir, maybe just coming back to South Africa, US, Deputy President, we saw the telephonic call between President Ramaphosa and his US counterpart, President Trump. Where does it put the resetting of the bilateral ties between the US and South Africa, especially given, the very quite a turbulent phase between the two countries?
Well, I'm currently not privy to the discussion, but I would say that it's a positive move, because remember, as South Africa, we've always been committed to resolving these challenges. So I would say that as really one of the efforts that our president is taking to ensure that we normalize these relations. We have already said as South Africa that we value our bilateral relations with the US. And we want to see that continue. We are the biggest trading partner with the US in the continent, and therefore we want to ensure that that continues. So the discussion, the engagement by the president with the president of the US and the new administration in the US has to be encouraged.
Maybe just a last one from me, DP. As an envoy on South Sudan, are you following the developments given the escalation that you have seen recently?
Yes, we are. The president had advised that we give them a bit of space, because as you know that IGAD was also intervening there. President Museveni has sent troops. So we took a bit of a back seat for now. We will go back to give them a chance to say what they want to resolve. But we're not going to leave. As soon as it's advisable, we will go to South Sudan because we want them to go for elections. Initially, they were going to go for elections in 2025, end of this year. But with challenges now, that's going to be pushed back. But we're going to go and engage with them to go in that direction. Obviously, it will need that we engage with President Salva Kiir, what's called the house arrest, but we would like to see that situation normalizing.
We'll take one last question.
The last question, yeah.
All right, so that is the Deputy President Paul Mashatile speaking to journalists there in Pretoria. He has just rounded off the keynote address at the T20. It's essentially a gathering that's part of the G20 meetings that we're going to see in the lead up to the main summit later on this year. This one in particular is going to run over 2 days, and it will convene policymakers, leading African thinkers, academics, you name it, all of them hoping to come out there with Afrocentric policy recommendations in order to elevate the voice of Africans. So we'll continue listening into that as it continues to unfold.